So now we're going to go through some sample sentences, 2 sentences in fact. We'll start with the vocabulary for the first sentence. It only has 4 words. Ha. Now ha is one of the Greek words for the. And the interesting thing about that is Greek has a word for the, or has words for the. English has a word for the. They don't exactly overlap in usage, and we're going to find that to be true in this sentence. So just keep that in the back of your head there. Theos is a word for God, a God, or God. Agape is love. And it is a special kind of love. It was translated in the King James by the word charity. This is a kind of love that expects nothing in return. This is like metta in Buddhism, loving kindness. And our final word here, ἐστίν. And this is just the word is. It's the verb to be. And if you want some technical jargon, third person singular. If you just look at this part here, it's almost the same as our English word. Okay. Now, one other thing we should look at before we look at the actual sentence is the sentence pattern. So in English, we can say A is B. We're just kind of equating these two things, or we're defining A. And in Greek, they could say it this way. And actually in the second sentence, it's going to be like this. But they don't have to put it this way. And as a matter of fact, they don't even have to use the word is. But in this sentence, the Greek is going to look more like A, B, is. Again, in English, if we were to translate it into English, we would put it in this form up here. But in Greek, in this sentence, they're expressing it as it is here. A, B, is. And so now, drum roll please, the first sentence from 1 John 4:8. Ha theos agape ἐστίν. So we talked about how this ha is the. And again, this doesn't exactly line up with the English usage of the. So one thing though, even though we won't really translate this word, it is going to help us understand what the subject is. And so we can think of it as marking the subject, ha theos. And we said theos is God. So this is our subject. God. And now we know the sentence pattern is going to have is at the end, and we can see that here. So we can understand that. God is agape. God is love. God is the kind of love that expects nothing in return. So that was kind of a whirlwind. But it shows you that if you know a little bit of pronunciation and a few words, you can start to make out some sentences. Now let's go on. And the sentence pattern for the next sentence, you'll see that they're actually the same. Kind of the same form. I say kind of because this sentence is a little more complex. It has a few more words thrown in. So what we're going to do is we're going to build this sentence up from its very kind of the core, and then we'll keep adding the words in until we get to the actual sentence itself. Now this one is from Menander, who was like a 5th or 4th century playwright. And this sentence, and this is only part of it here, we're getting to the full sentence at the end, is from a collection of single line like fragments. So we don't have the whole context. We have this one line of Menander's. It's quite powerful though. So now, based on what we had before, we actually only have this one new word, νοῦς, and that is the word for mind. You might even sometimes hear a word like noetic studies. This is the mind. In this case, we would also use the definite article here. So we can even say the mind is God. νοῦς ἐστίν θεός. Again, the mind is God. We didn't mention this. Greek does not have an indefinite article like English does. So it's possible that this might mean the mind is a God. Context would have to tell us, but as we just said, there isn't really any other context. The context here would be your understanding of like where you are on your, I don't want to say where you are on your spiritual journey, but your understanding of how things are. And also, theos could just mean the transcendent. It could be kind of a placeholder for something like, it certainly doesn't have to be an anthropomorphic God. Let's put it that way. So the next word we'll look at in this sentence is the word gar. And it means for or since, and it's kind of used to indicate that the sentence or clause is explaining something. This is the cause or reason. But again, we don't have the context. So it may even be best for us to leave this out. Again, because it's not going to be explaining anything. So I leave that there, and that would be up to you, dear listener. Now this next word, ἡμῶν, νοῦς γαρ ἡμῶν ἐστιν θεός. So we have the mind is God, and we have this word now, ἡμῶν, and it means of us or our. You could say the mind of us is God, but that's a little, it doesn't sound like, I don't know who would naturally say that or normally say it. So it would probably be better to use the word our, in which case we probably will eject this definite article and say our mind is God. And that's something else that you'll just come across in Greek. Now there's one more addition. It's actually two words, but you kind of have to take them together. νοῦς γαρ ἡμῶν ἐστιν εν ἑκάστῳ θεός. So this little word here, en, means in, and this next word means each. So in each person. νοῦς γαρ ἡμῶν, our mind is God in each person. We would probably say in English, in each one of us. Our mind is God in each one of us. So that kind of knocks out the grammar and a little bit of the vocabulary. You can kind of sit with this sort of thing and think about, it's fairly profound. This could be something like, or I should say, theos could be something like Brahman. So it could be the awareness behind our normal consciousness. So this is, it could be like Buddha nature, something along those lines. So there's a lot in this one sentence that we could kind of reflect upon and meditate upon. And that's why I think Greek is, it's amazingly deep, and there's a lot there, dear listener. And I think as an esotericist, I'm sure you're aware of that. Peace.